New question, the member from Kitchener-Conestoga.
Speaker, my question's to the Premier. Premier, we've all heard you say several times that there's no new money for wage increases. Yep. But we now know, while you were making those comments, you were, in fact, doing the exact opposite. Yep. Without any public scrutiny, you rubber-stamped a more than 8% wage hike for Metrolinx workers in the waning days of the last election campaign. Once again, you put your own political interests ahead of the financial management of our province. Yes, you did. Premier, wouldn't you agree that saying there's no new money for raises and then doling out more than 8% increase to Metrolinx workers is blatant hypocrisy? Blatant.
The member will withdraw.
Withdraw.
It's used again in the supplementary will pass. The member from Haldeman Norfolk will withdraw. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I know that the President of the Treasury Board is going to want to comment on this, but I want to be very clear that there is no new money for wage increases, Mr. Speaker, and that the collective agreements that are bargained, including the Metrolinx, Mr. Speaker, any increases would have to come from within the envelope, and that is exactly, Mr. Speaker, what has happened. So that my contention and my statement is very, very clear, and it stands, that there is no new money for wages and salaries in the collective bargaining process. That was the situation before the election when we introduced the budget. It's the situation now, Mr. Speaker, and it was the situation when the Metrolinx collective agreement was finalized.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Well, I don't know about 8.45% is more than zero. So, Premier, now that the government has given into the ATU on the Metrolinx deal, other locals are looking for the same treatment. Right. In fact, the ATU local for Guelph Transit workers just rejected an offer that included a 6.8% wage increase just last night. One of the primary reasons was, of course, wages, money. And it's not hard to see why when their colleagues are getting more. Municipalities cannot take on excessive debt like the province, yet they will now be facing more financial pressure because of demands for larger wage hikes. Premier, will you admit your short-sighted, politically motivated decision to dole out more than 8% wage increase to the ATU has now put already cash-strapped municipalities in a more difficult negotiating position?
Well, Speaker, we have been very clear that any wage increases must be absorbed within existing funding, and that's exactly what has happened at Metrolinx. And I refer you to the budget. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it yet, but it's on page 153. I'll quote from it. Any modest wage increases that are negotiated must be absorbed by employers within available funding and within Ontario's existing fiscal plan through efficiency and productivity gains or other trade-offs so that service levels continue to meet public needs. That's exactly what's happened at Metrolinx.
Thank you. New question.